All right. What's happening, Lions fans? It is Rockhound Detroitlions. I am Will Rock. I'm your host for today. Talking about Marcus Davenport. Lions getting it done this weekend. Look, we expected some hot and heavy action, obviously, before today. Started, I think on Thursday was the first shoe to drop, but getting Derek Barnes done. And, of course, a couple of other names, Ezekiel Turner and others, obviously made a lot of sense for the Detroit Lions to lock up a few of these guys before they hit free agency, which is the key, making sure that they don't even get a chance to discuss things with other teams. Yeah, I'm excited about this one. And I know some of you are not, and that's okay. We all like different people. We see things differently. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is a player that I expected to come back since day one. And matter of fact, I just called Eric a little while ago to congratulate him on his first free agent call of the season, which was bringing Marcus Davenport back. We spoke about it this past week. There's a video up on Rockhound Detroitlions. You can check it out from the morning show. And then if you go back even a few more weeks, it's Marcus Davenport all day, at least for me. This made a lot of sense. The contract was right. I expected a lower base salary. It's probably full of incentives. We just don't know. We're not going to have the guts of the contract here for a few days at least. Maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. But this is a good deal. It's a one-year deal. He still has to make it through camp. I've seen some of your messages already in the chat, and he still has to fight and prove that he belongs on this team. And he will, without a doubt. Marcus Davenport was having a good season last year. He was intentionally injured. You guys know my stance on that. The tape proves it. The video I did last year proves it. And I think that he would have been just fine had he continued on through the rest of the season. And now he's going to get his second shot at revenge. He's going to be able to come back. He was in great shape. He'll be able to do it all over again. He's going to be fully healthy. And now, when you look at this roster, not only did the Lions have 3 of the top 32 defensive ends on the roster last season, we now have them again. At least for now. Aiden Hutchinson should be back and healthy. Zadarius Smith should be back, at least from what we understand right now, he should be back. Josh Paschal got extra time in last year on the outside. So that's a whole new level of versatility for the Lions. And now you're bringing back Marcus Davenport that has familiarity with this defense, this coaching staff, this team. Good locker room dude. You have 4 bona fide defensive ends already. What the Lions pull off next will probably come through the draft. It is doubtful that we're going to see a big-name free agent walk through the halls of Allen Park coming from another team. It's doubtful. You might find a lower-tier guy, but right now the Lions are committed to making sure that they can manage their cap space. And their cap space is really not that much. Yeah, they started with, 8th or 10th most cap availability to start free agency. And Brad Holmes always finds a way to replenish. And I'm sure that Jared Goff would be more than willing to, restructure a contract or something if he had to, but I don't think it's going to have to go that far. I think that Brad is going to do what he planned on doing. And this was part of the plan. And Marcus Davenport was definitely part of my plan. So let's get into it. Headlines of the day. All right. I'm on the wrong screen. Marcus Davenport, according to Ian Rappaport, says, source, the Lions are bringing back edge rusher Marcus Davenport on a 1-year deal worth up to $4.75 million. That's the key right there, worth up to. After injuries robbed him of most of last year, Detroit takes another shot to run it back. According to ESPN, the Lions, again, are re-signing defensive end Marcus Davenport for 1 year at $4.75 million max. Again, that's a key phrase, that it is the max deal. So all the escalators, all the incentives that are built into his contract are going to max out at 4.75. If you remember last week, I said that his base salary should probably be in that 2.5, 2.75 range. I'm expecting that it'll probably be close to that. We'll see. We could be right. We could be wrong. Anyway, NFL Network was first to report. Let's make sure that we give them all the credit for that, right? And the Lions signed him to a 1-year deal last year, $7.095 million in free agency after 1 season with the Vikings in 2023 and 5 with the Saints, obviously from 2018 to 2022. And that's where That's where Dan and Aaron Glenn obviously had their relationship with Marcus Davenport, was their time in the Saints. They knew who this guy was and what he was all about on the field. Now, Davenport, 28 years old, appeared in just 2 games during the 2024 season. He missed week 2 with a groin injury, and then he came back, obviously registered half a sack in Detroit's overtime victory against the Rams in week 1. Then he was ruled out for the season with a torn triceps after week 3. Just so happens that's Paris Johnson, right? That I didn't know Paris was that kind of a player, but I guess he is. Go back and watch my video. It's somewhere on Rockhound Detroit Lions. Just search up Davenport, and you'll see the video where it shows the intentional injury. If you don't believe me, the tape don't lie, right? It's what they say. The tape don't lie. Injuries have been a common theme in Davenport's career since he entered the NFL, and I could say the same thing about a handful of other players that are getting big-time contracts right now. Now, he was a first-round pick with New Orleans in 2018. Injuries limited him to 63 appearances in 5 seasons with the Saints, and in 2023 with the Vikings, he appeared in just 4 games. Now, in 69 career games, 36 starts, he has 151 tackles, 82 solo, 68 quarterback hits, 27 tackles for loss, 24 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, 4 passes defensed, and 1 fumble recovery. Now, if you want to do some simple math, in 69 career games, it's pretty darn good stats. So when he's on the field and he's playing, he's producing. And imagine what he's going to be able to produce again, like we expected last year, with Aiden on the field, and now Zadarius Smith on the field, and now Josh Paschal, and others. The Lions are poised, obviously, to pull in a couple of players during free agency that are obviously going to help him. But right now, if I'm looking at this, 69 career starts, or 69 career games, I mean, he's averaging a quarterback hit per game. He's averaging a sack every 3 games, less than that, like 2.75 games, and 27 tackles for loss. Again, he's getting a TFL about every 2.5 games. Those are pretty darn good stats for a guy that you're only paying maybe $4.75 million this year. I would love for you to go find me a couple other players in the league that are producing at this level that are not getting paid, 12 to 14 to $16 million. Matter of fact, just take a look at what Harold Landry made last year. Different ball player, but we highlighted Harold Landry a week or so ago. And I made sure to comment that, I would love to see Harold Landry in Detroit. I think that's all but forgotten now. I don't think that there's a possibility for that to happen. But you go look at his production and look how much money that he's been making. And I think that there would be a bigger complaint there. Joey Bosa signed a 5-year, $175 million deal. And over the last 4 seasons hasn't even come close to some of these stats that Davenport put up. Totally different ball player. I get it. Shouldn't even be compared. I understand. We're just talking stats, and we're talking stats per game. So that's the argument. I still believe that, this type of stuff, like I'm seeing in the chat here about the deliberate injuries, that someone needs to be fired or removed. I like that, T-Webs. I couldn't believe that happened last year. But you know what? As a rotational piece for the Lions, that's what Eric and I both discussed last week. Eric was spot on with his assessment, talking about Marcus Davenport and ensuring the fact that he was very clear this needs to be an incentive-laden contract. You bring the guy in to win a position. You don't give him a position. He has to win. And there's nothing wrong with that. Last year he was the guy. This year there's competition. And these guys are going to have to duel it out to see who's the better defensive end to start week 1. What I'm liking right now is just what I said the other day. Imagine for a moment that we're not blitzing all the time. When you blitz, your defensive ends, they're consistently gassed. Your linebackers, your defensive line, they're consistently gassed. The reason why the Eagles were able to go deeper and deeper and deeper and still have all the gas in the tank in the 4th quarter is because they didn't blitz. They did it naturally. And that's what I've been asking for this team to build, is a natural front 4. We don't need all the blitzing going on. Aaron Glenn obviously used it when we had to, right? We didn't need to against the Washington Commanders, but against the Vikings, it was a good call because Darnold doesn't move well. So it was a great call. But I would love to see now where this rotation allows Davenport and Zadarius Smith and Aiden Hutchinson to have more gas in the tank in that third quarter, where you need to come up with a couple of stops. It's a dogfight of a game. We have a very difficult schedule this year. And I hope that, and I know I'm sure Brad is doing this, if you guys haven't looked at the schedule, go look at, this team, the teams that we're about to play. And then I think you can kind of figure it out for yourself what kind of team we need. We need a team that is big, a team that can shut down the run, and we're going to have to get after the quarterback probably about a third of the games. We can't do it through blitzing, because if we do it through blitzing, they're going to beat us. I just saw a super chat roll by. Let me get back to it here just real quick. Dante, welcome in to Rockdown Detroit Lions, says Burkett said on X that Davenport wanted to be back. Now it's done. So if he really wanted to come back, then that sounds good to me. I'm hopeful. Hey, man, I love the pride being hopeful. There's nothing better than that. Big shout out to you, man. Appreciate the super chat. And again, welcome into Rockdown Detroit Lions. Here's what I want to do. If anybody would like to call in, I'm going to open up the lines here. You tell me about Davenport. What do you guys think? I can't wait to hear these hot takes. If anyone dares to call in, I'm not going to argue with you or anything like that. We're just going to have a conversation. So should be good to go now. We haven't run phone calls in a little bit, but the number's not on the screen. So let me dump it into the chat and then we'll get you guys on the phone. This date fixed real quick too. How's everybody's Fatterday going, by the way? Hope you're all enjoying your Fatterday. Big shout out to Mr. Andy Isaac up there. Appreciate everything he's done for Detroit sports, man. Lone Wolf says, I would want Odie Ingbo, Nelson, Hoke, not Davenport. Didn't Odie just get re-signed? I think he did. And if he didn't, he's extremely expensive. All right, let's see who we got on the phone. All right, Bruce, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, buddy. What's happening, man? How are you?
Okay. I ain't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. So what do you think about Marcus Davenport?
Bad. I knew Brad Holmes. Yeah. Can you hear me now? I'm okay. I'm not too happy over this situation.
Well, tell me all about it, man. Who did you want instead, I guess? What makes more sense to you?
I was looking more like of a Trey Henderson, but that may not work, or somebody else different. Marcus,
Oh, did you just drop the call, Bruce? Bruce, I think you dropped a call. If you hear me, you go ahead and call back. I'll recap what he said here. He was thinking Trey Hendrickson. Look, I think that we're all out on that, right? I think that we understand that Brad's not going to make a big move. It's just not in the cards this year. It's just not. It's probably not in the cards any season, to be honest with you. As much as I love Trey Hendrickson and what he's been able to do, man, that kind of cap space just doesn't come available. All right, let's try him again here. Hey, Bruce, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, buddy, go ahead. You said Trey Hendrickson, and then you cut out.
Yeah, it's Trey Henderson or Harold Landry. That would have been good, but not with Marcus Davenport. We're not getting nothing out of him. He's going to turn around and get hurt again, going to be out the whole season. I don't know why Brad Holmes keep making moves like this.
Well, I think it's a money thing, man. We just don't have the money. You want to keep Aiden, right?
But let me ask you this, Will. Okay, yeah, but let me ask you this. Why, when it comes to the Detroit Lions, it's always the money? It's always the money all the time. We're the only team that can't never do anything to get anybody.
Well, I guess.
We can't get nobody. Every year it's the same thing.
I've got a great response for it, but I want you to get it all out, and then I'm going to respond.
Okay, now give me one more minute.
All right.
Now Brad Holmes, y'all thinking the guy is a guy. He did a lot of good. But come on, we're not getting nowhere. Next year, we're not going anywhere. We don't have the defense for it. He keeps signing these guys that nobody else wants. Marcus Davenport, no, if you let him go, was nobody else going to pick him up? Nobody. You got Broderick Martin. He's just taking up a roster spot. He's no good to you. Neither one of them no good to you. I mean, we're doing this every year. Every year it's come. We always got to say, "Oh, well, we don't have the money. If we could get this one, we got to sign this." But every other teams do it. All good teams do this. That's why we're not going. And you think we're going to go to the Super Bowl? Come on, you got to be real. Be truthful to yourself. We're not going anywhere because we don't have the personnel for it. And I know. Aaron Glenn, he's glad to be out of Detroit. We put him through a lot. And it wasn't Aaron Glenn's fault with the defense. It's Brad Holmes not give him the people to do anything. I mean, Aaron Glenn, he's worked his tail off. And I know he's glad to get away from this kind of situation. And everybody don't see it. Brad Holmes is this, he's that. He's not doing anything. He did good for the offense, sure enough. I give him credit where credit is due. But that's it.
Okay.
And you're getting Marcus Davenport that cannot do anything. I'm just fed up with it.
All right, so Bruce, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to answer this one offline. I think I got you understood loud and clear. You're not happy with the Davenport pick, but now I'm going to take it offline. I'm going to give you my response. Okay, buddy?
Okay. All right.
Have a good Sunday, man. Or have a good Saturday, buddy.
Okay, you too. All right, now.
Bye-bye. All right, first call was a hot one, right? Bruce is not happy. Give me a few minutes in between calls here. Let me respond to Bruce. Here's what I heard him. Here's what I heard him say. He said, Lions never have any money. Every year, the Lions never have any money, but all these other teams can do it, right? All these other teams can do it. And then are we going to go to the Super Bowl with the team that we have? He doesn't think so. He doesn't think it's going to happen. All right. AG is glad to get the hell out of Dodge because we put him through a lot. That's a lot, man. We got a lot to answer here. So here's what I'm going to say. Never have any money. I'm going to start back with 2020, okay? The reason why we didn't have any money in 21 is because Quinn and Patricia left us in a hole. Huge hole. The Lions started with about $40 million in dead cap, and I think they had about $30 million in cap space, if I remember correctly. Picking at the top of the draft, they needed about 18 just to sign the rookies. No money. So you can't blame Brad, can't blame Sheila. Completely gutted the team. 2021, no money. 2022. Well, guess what? We're still digging out in 22 on Trey Flowers, like Landon Collins type contracts, more dead money. Got a little bit better that year, had a little bit more cap to work with. Maybe 50 million, I think, that year. We can go back and look another day, but so don't quote me. That's why we didn't have any money. Now, we had some money last year. Had a lot of money last year. Considerable amount of money this year. What do we do with that money, Bruce? We signed Jared Goff. We re-signed Lee McNeil, Taylor Decker. Who am I missing? There was more. There was others. So we put that money to good use. Oh, I'm sorry. Amon-Ra St. Brown. How can I forget about that? So the money's going to places, to the players that you have on this team that are making contributions to this team winning. And Brad Holmes in the draft has struck more all-pro, Pro Bowl, top-flight athletes than any other team but the Eagles. Howie Rhodes, he's done bar none probably the best over the last decade. Brad's great, but he's probably like number 2, right? He's won Executive of the Year twice, 2 years in a row, because of what he's doing. I trust in the process with Brad Holmes, what they've delivered so far. We came from the gutters, right? We can't go up to the steps of the White House in a matter of 4 years. It just doesn't happen. We're almost there. We will get there. Mark my words, we will get there. But to answer the question, I guess, on why can other teams do it, but the Lions can't, let me ask you this. How many of those teams went out and won a Super Bowl after spending a ton of money? I'm sorry, did the Texans win a Super Bowl after signing Daniil Hunter for 2 years to $50 million? Nope. What was another big free agency pickup last year? Because you know the Eagles didn't. The Eagles didn't spend a ton of money in free agency. That entire defensive front they drafted. All of them. So they're one of the Chiefs. That's another team that's won Super Bowls over the last couple of years. They've gone out and signed some players. They signed what was Chris Jones to a big, massive deal, but they drafted him. All the other guys that they've been winning with, the Chiefs have had more drafted players on their top 53 than anything else. They're drafting. That's why these teams are winning Super Bowls. They're drafting. They're keeping their cap low so they can re-sign some players that they want to build with and continue with, and then they'll pluck a few pieces here or there as they can. Carlton Davis, it's not like Brad didn't spend money last year. $15 million on Carlton, $30 million on DJ Reader. And then another $175 million on players that he wanted to re-sign as core pieces. So, Bruce, I appreciate the call. I appreciate your fandom because I get it. I've been there. I've done that. I have belief with the way that this team is being built right now. Big shout out to Ed O'Neill. He says, let's wait till the end of April. Make statements that the D is still Hutch and friends. We get it, but there's still time. We haven't even gotten started. And big shout out to you, Ed, man. Hope you're doing well on this Saturday, buddy. Do us all a favor for Rockhound Detroit Lions and Andy Isaac. If you guys are on Twitter or anywhere else you're visiting today, make sure you guys drop a hashtag Saturday for the world of Isaac. Andy Isaac, man, one of the biggest, brightest Detroit Lions fans, Detroit sports fans. And this was his day. This is his type of day. It is now proclaimed by Governor Gretchen Whitmer as such that today, March 8th, 2025, is Saturday. So big shout out to Gretchen Whitmer for taking care of that. Not in political here, just thanking her because she heard her constituents in her state and her people that they wanted it done. So, Bruce, I get it, buddy. I see all these other teams, picking up players here and there and doing things, but they're not winning Super Bowls either, buddy. They're not. They're not. All right, what do we got in here? The Ronin99 says, I think Brad uses the draft to build a D-line foundation. Hey, I'm right there with you, man. This draft is so deep. Now, when you start building around these guys with some rookies, you got some good quality guys that they can learn from. There's no reason why we can't go from where we were last year. Matter of fact, let me pause for a sec. This team won 15 games last year. The one thing I didn't answer, he said AG went through a lot. We put him through a lot. You know what? You're right. A lot of injuries. Brad gave him a team last year, gave him a squad, gave him his defensive pieces. You could tell how excited AG was to have these pieces. And that defense was playing as a top 2-3 defense in the league through the first 8 weeks of the season. And then all of those injuries, they came, and then the defense went with it. Slowly but surely by week 13 and then 14, I mean, the gash just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There was no more stitches, right? There was no more bench players. And then Broderick Martin. Look, I don't know why we're picking on Broderick Martin. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Less than 15% of all third-round draft picks have ever played a snap in the NFL or start. So Broderick being a 2-3 year project, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, clearly didn't need him last year. So, look, he could come out this year and totally shock the world. We don't know that. But he was drafted to be a rotational guy, not a starter. That's it. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, got to give him a little bit of credit. And Broderick he's like Deone Walker coming out this year. I think Deone is from Kentucky, or Deontay. Exact mock, or comparable to him. So, there's other guys out there that are that size that rarely come along. And that's why Brad took him. When we look at what the Lions have done so far, here's your update. Obviously, the Lions released Jalen Reeves-Maybin early in the process. They did re-sign guard Netnani Moody. Of course, Marcus Davenport today. Derek Barnes, huge contract. 3 over 25.5. Linebacker Anthony Pittman got a 1-year deal. Ezekiel Turner on a 1-year deal. Morris Norris on a 1-year deal. The Lions have already allowed, let's see, we got Maurice Alexander and James Mitchell. They have signed elsewhere. And then we still have a lot of unsigned. There's still a lot of work to do. Matter of fact, when we were on the other morning, I was going through my list of free agents. And the guys that I had coming back to this team, I had Derek Barnes, I was warm on. I had Marcus Davenport, I was warm on. And Kyle Pecco, haven't heard anything about that yet. Anthony Pittman, I was out on, so I got that one wrong. Ezekiel Turner, I was not high on either, so I got that one wrong too. Those guys have got to make it through camp. If there's someone to be pissed about, like it would be Ezekiel Turner. It would be Anthony Pittman. Like those would be the ones to be upset about, but those are probably vet minimum deals. They're camp bodies for right now. They're going to have to fight through it and earn a spot. T-Web says 17-0 does not get you a championship. Perfection is not necessary. Only finding a way to get to and win a Super Bowl. Speaking facts today, Brent Lighton, I'm glad to see you in here. I know you are so excited about Marcus Davenport. Matter of fact, didn't we bet a coffee or something that Marcus Davenport wasn't going to come back? I think you owe me a coffee. Better yet, let's do this, Brent. You send me your address. I will send you some Honolulu Blue Brew coffee, and then you can give us a live reaction on the coffee. Come on the show and tell us how good that coffee is. How about that? We'll switch it up on you. Have I written about Ezekiel Turner yet? Not yet. Yeah, owner UVM dad, you got that right. Turner always falls for the fake. He bites hard. Brett Lighton just admitted he owes me the coffee. I appreciate you, man. Not too many people follow through on their bets, but you're good. You're a good one. So, Rona99 says, I want Za Frazier, cornerback out of, what was that, UTSA? Za Frazier. I can't say that I've looked at Za. Bob W says, I like bringing guys back that have a lot of familiarity with each other, the program, and the coaching staff. Good point. Trey says, us Lions fans know all about the front office attempting to buy a team. We have seen it in the dark days, and we're seeing it right across Lake Michigan over there in Chicago. I mean, look at the Bears. They've been buying a team. They've been spending big money on free agents. They're not winning squad. They're barely winning 5 games a season. Chuck Lund's in the house. He says, should we stay healthy, we'll have a better team, but let's not expect 15 wins. Exactly. Marvin's World's in the house. Ed O'Neill says, what's more likely, 2 edges of an edge and a DT in the draft? 2 edges or an edge and a DT in the draft? There we go. I would say edge DT. I think that it's edge DT, but I think that the Lions are really wanting to pull a linebacker out of this draft if one slips. But with the way that this is shaping up so far, we've got Barnes back, Pittman, Turner, Malcolm, Alex, and Jack. We've already got 6 linebackers. So there'll probably be 3 more, I would say, before camp, and that's it. Maybe one's a rookie, maybe not. But maybe we have a rookie that comes in that is purely in a backup role and has to earn his way on the field. If they're taken early enough in the draft. But I think an edge obviously is going to be big in this draft, but also defensive tackle. So defensive tackle is huge. You guys know how I feel about that. Oh, and by the way, I was just writing my notes. Look what I wrote in here for today. Marcus Davenport, noon, Saturday. Expected it to happen. That was the deadline for me. Well, it happened at 3:50 or 4 o'clock, so a little late. But anyway, you guys know defensive tackle is big for me. I think that that's the way to the quarterback. It always has been. It always will be. Without a good interior defensive line, interior pass rush, doesn't necessarily mean you have to get to the quarterback, but providing pressure, making these quarterbacks make mistakes, and allowing the ends to do their job, right? Allow the linebackers to do their job. And I think that when all of that starts to come to fruition, you're going to start to see this defense really have a lot of success. They've already built upon what they had last season, and they're trying to fix a few areas of concern, which I think is the linebacker room was a huge deficiency last season. Even with Alex and Jack and Derek Barnes, on the roster last season, I still think we're missing that true outside linebacker, the true coverage guy. We desperately need one. Now you can manufacture that with dropping another safety down or utilizing your nickel a little bit more. And maybe they do that. Maybe Calvin Shepard's going to dial up a different style of a defense, or maybe he's just not going to blitz as much and keep us in a better situation. We'll see. Only time will tell. They have a plan. And I think that, when we look at the mistakes that Aaron Glenn has made and the great things that Aaron Glenn did, I think Shepard's going to have a great idea as to what not to do and what to do. And we're going to see a revamped defense here in 2025. Anybody else want to call in? You got any 2 cents on Marcus Davenport, good or bad? Hey, Braylon Dennis in the house. I know he loves Davenport. It's been a minute, Braylon, you defector. It's all good, buddy. It's all good. Ed O'Neill, what are we doing at corner? Do you think we can go corner round 1? Oof. I hope not, but I wouldn't be mad. I think whatever we do, it's going to work. If we're going to go corner with our first pick, I would hope that we're trading from 28 to like 33 or 34 or 35. Then we take a corner. I think that there's 3 legit corners in this draft that you could take early. Let me get my sheet out. Let's see here. My eyes are terrible today. Did you guys do anything for Saturday? Did you go out and eat anywhere? Did you make anything at home? Did you post anything? Oh my goodness, what is going on here? I can't see. Here we go. So obviously we know that Travis Hunter's the #1 ranked corner in this draft. He's not going to be there for us. We're not moving up that far. Will Johnson, look, he dropped in this draft for me because of the arm length. I don't think that he's the #1 anymore. I think your #1 corner off the draft is going to be Jade Barron. Give me 1 second here. Okay, we're back. So obviously I think that Jade Barron's going to be the #1 overall. I think he's going to be the first corner taken off the board right now. Until I see some more, pro day stuff out of some of these other guys. Nick Emenawari, even though he's a safety, he's a very unique opportunity for the Lions. This guy can play down in the box, and we play a box safety often. So it would be nice to see somebody of that size. It's like a mini linebacker, someone that you could send after the quarterback. Obviously, someone you can use in some unique situations. Very intriguing prospect. He's going to go either way, very early, or he's going to drop a little bit to probably the 2nd round. I could see the Lions taking another safety, honestly. But if we're going to take a corner, Trey Amos is one of my favorite corners in this draft. Isaiah Thomas is another good one. And then a little bit later is that O'Donnell Fortune, or Fortune, however you pronounce his last name. Fortune, if you just want to say it how it looks. Obviously a local kid. He's probably going to get a local invite, and he's got the skills to pay the bills. I mean, he had a pick 6 in I think it was a Shrine game. And you could just tell he put himself in the right position to win. There's corners in this draft. There's a few corners in this draft. You don't have to get one extremely early. But I would say anything after the 3rd round, I think you're just adding bodies at that point. And that's another thing that we have to look at too with this Detroit Lions roster. There's not a whole lot of positions to be had here. There's just not. This roster is pretty thick already. It's pretty deep. And it's only going to get deeper once we get through free agency and get some of our own guys re-signed. Let's talk extension stuff for just 1 second here. For just 1 second. Kirby Joseph. What do you guys think is going to happen with Kirby? He's headed into the last year of his deal. Do you think that he's willing to play on the last year of his deal? So kicking back to Bruce in his comments, about money and the Lions not having any. I don't know, Bruce, if you joined the other day when I was doing the roster breakdown, but if we were to sign just JMO and Hutch to fifth-year options and not extend either of them, next year we're already upside down in capital before the new league year increase happens. We were upside down like 15 or 18 million, something like that. Now, Brad did roll in like 34 million this year. So I don't know if that has already hit the cap or if that's going to hit in the new league year. So if that's going to hit in the new league year, then that number could be reassessed. There's no way we only have like 50 million. There's no way. It has to be closer to 80. So if that's the case, yes, we do have a ton of money. And then, yes, Kirby does make sense to re-sign, right? To get him extended. But then next year, right? To all the people out there that think that we just don't spend money, that we have money just to burn. What are we going to do with Branch and Gibbs and everybody else that we're going to have to, you want to keep them, I assume, or at least do your best to keep them. They don't have to sign an extension. Well, let's just say they all do want to stay. Well, Gibbs is probably going to get close to 20 mil a year. Laporte is probably going to get 10, 12 mil a year. Who else is next year? Branch is going to get an $18 million a year deal. Kirby is probably going to get an $18 million a year deal. So there's 36, 46, 66 million just to 4 guys next year. Oh, we haven't even signed Hutchinson yet. We just saw what Crosby got. So his deal is probably going to be 5 years, 155, 160 million with about 110 of it guaranteed. So yeah, we don't have money. We don't. If you want to keep Hutch around, we don't have money. These are big contracts. And next year, Jared Goff's deal is $70 million on the books. And I don't want to hear that we need to get rid of Jared Goff because he's been the best quarterback that we've had since Matthew Stafford, and I would even argue better than Matthew Stafford right now. So, yeah, I can't believe we got Branch in the second round either and leapfrog the old Packers to do it. Bet It Up says we have to extend Kirby. We have the best. Just like Brad Holmes says, so when I throw these scenarios out there, it just comes from a place of me looking, right? Looking into these things. What would it take? What could happen? Play the what if game. And then what's more realistic? If it were me, and look, you guys may not like this, but that's why we agree to disagree and we have conversations. It's okay. If I were the GM, I'd be putting Kirby on the trade block. I would try to get some picks for him. And then I would do what I could do in this draft to get younger, deeper, and better and move up as far as I could. But that's also why I'm sitting here, right? I'm not sitting over there because obviously Brad knows what the hell he's doing. But that's what I would be looking at. What is my value, proposition for Kirby? Do I pay the guy $18 million, or is someone going to offer me a second and a third, or a second and a fourth, or maybe even a first pick swap in a second? It could happen. And then you can get a couple of players early in this draft. You could get the Shamar Stewarts. You could get the Nick Scortons. You could get the Walter Nolans or the Mason Grahams. You could end up with, 2 top tier defensive linemen and a linebacker and a safety and a corner all in the first 3 rounds. It could happen. And then next year you still have a boatload of picks left to be able to move around. Adam says, take it back, Will, about Kirby. Yeah, it's just, hey, it's conversation. So when I write that article, by the way, if you guys haven't noticed, I started writing again. I took a break from writing for a very long time, partially because the website never got completed. My guy failed me. 2 guys failed me. So I just started something on my own. I asked for a little bit of help from one of the best writers in the industry, pointed me to the right direction. And so DetroitFootballJournal.com, the actual .com portion will take a couple of weeks to get everything transferred and rolling. But if you look up Detroit Football Journal on Substack, it's there. I'll start dropping an article or 2 or 3 a day, and then we'll talk about them here. We'll do some videos. That's the plan anyway. So I'm going to do one on Kirby probably tonight and propose it. I'll make sure in the bottom, I'm going to tell Kirby I'm just, doing this for, just doing this as a process, right? I don't mean any harm. Bet It Up says, we know what we have in Kirby. He's a game closer. He is. He's a hell of a football player. Let's see. Solid. Does it say Solido Gloria says Laporta can be replaced easier than Gibbs or JMO. Not enough money for all of them. So I would say JMO could probably be replaced pretty easy. No, not easy, but you know what I mean. There's more wide receivers every year than really good wide receivers every year than there is really good tight ends every year. I would go with a JMO replacement, or even using JMO in that Kirby instance. What could you get for JMO right now? Is he worth anything? And no, don't say Hendon Hooker, because Hendon Hooker, he's not worth anything yet. He's got to play first. Let's see here. What else we got in here? Carlos says Laporta's awesome. We should keep him. I hope so too. Carlos Cook says Yowza, $70 million next year for Goff. So I guess trying to get Slay is out of the question. Yeah, I'm not real high on Slay. I think it's one of those things where it's a feel good move, right? You're bringing the guy back to where he started, and maybe he helps us hoist a Lombardi. But if you look at what Slay did last year, he didn't have to overperform, right? He was in a really good defense, and we know that when you have a really good defensive line, the back end of your defense has a much easier day at the office. And he was able to perform, but he also was then sandwiched between the young buck and Cooper DeJean and Quinnen Mitchell that had stellar seasons. And so he just didn't have to do a whole lot. He's still a hell of a cornerback, but I think he's a little bit on the other side of 34 now. And he's still playing at a good clip, but if he wants anything more than $6 or $7 million just to have a contender deal, and to join the Lions and be some really solid depth and maybe push for corner 2, then great. Bring him in. Terry and Arnold will learn a lot from him. But other than that, no. I'm good on Slay. I think that there's better corners out there that we could benefit from. Let's see here. So as far as Goff's contract, remember this too, that his contract's only been in the low 30s for like the last 4 seasons. So we've really gotten a ton of production out of Jared Goff over the last 4 seasons, comparable to what he's made, commensurate to, look at some of the other quarterbacks around the league. Aaron Rodgers, for instance, the dude's been pulling down boatloads of money. He hasn't produced anything. I think that the best deal in the league obviously was Sam Darnold last year, but when you go around the league, I would say Brock Purdy was probably the most, they got so much out of Brock. Going to all those playoff games and NFC championships and Super Bowl, you just don't expect that, especially out of the last pick of the draft. You just don't expect that, or one of the last picks of the draft with Brock Purdy. But Jared Goff is probably right there at number 2 or 3 or 4, as far as most production and highest value comp to actual salary. So he's really done a lot for us. So if he has a big year, big contract year, he's earned it, right? You're paying him in the future for what are you paying him? Here's a question. Are you paying him for what he's going to do? Or are you paying him for what he's already done? I always say both, but Jared's already performed at such a high level and given this city so much to be proud of. And now we're going to see even more as this team continues to grow. Oh, who else is in here? It's a good point. Chuck says with Slay, it's better to get rid of a guy a year or 2 early than to keep him an extra year. Great point. I think great GMs see that too. They do the same thing. All right, what questions do we have? We're about to end it for the day. Looks like we having a little bit of lag right now. What's going on here? Is there any lag in this chat or in this stream? says use a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds or less. It's definitely that. I'm not real sure. Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, that's our update on what's going on in free agency. Obviously, a little bit long there. I really just wanted to get in and talk about Davenport. I'm glad that we got one caller to kind of air out their frustrations. I get it. I know a lot of you, really want these high-priced free agents. And Brandy Coffee has a question. She wants to know if everyone is subscribed that has visited today. Please do us a favor and subscribe if you haven't. And then please check out Detroit Football Journal on Substack. I'll be putting out more writings there. And what's that say? Polo Boy says, we need to sign Marcus Davenport. It's already done, buddy. It's already done. He is locked up. So anyway, you guys have a wonderful rest of Saturday. We'll check you guys out in the next one. We'll be back when we get some more breaking news. I'm sure we'll have a little bit more coming at the tail end of the day. And then probably tomorrow, it's going to be a busy day. So you guys have a great day. Probably go Detroit Lions. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.